What?
All right, so welcome back. Here's another video. I mean, this story is so bizarre. It's like you almost can't even argue it. But this woman, she's a teacher, and she gets shot by her student who is only 6 years old. Have a listen to this.
Did you see right before you were shot that day on January 6, 2023?
The look on the student's face is a large memory that I have. I do remember it was like a very blank look, but it wasn't a blank look at all on his face.
And what is the last thing you remember that day at the school?
Obvious, I thought I was dying. I thought I had died. I thought I was either on my way to heaven or in heaven, but then it all got black, and so I then thought I wasn't going there. I see two coworkers around me, and I process that I'm hurt, and they're putting pressure on where I'm hurt.
What?
Yeah, I'm just glad. First, I'd like to say I'm just glad that this woman is alive and she is safe and she is obviously well enough, that she's doing this interview. But I know we've heard these arguments for years where they say, like, should teachers be armed? Should teachers wear bulletproof vests? Should there be metal detectors in schools and things like that? And I mean, this story is almost so bizarre and extreme that it's like you can't even really argue it because the kid is only 6 years old. So when the kid is only 6, it's like that's just so far off the radar. I mean, do you blame just like music or video games or parent behavior? When the child is so young, you don't even really expect them to even form that type of, of course, that type of action when they're young. They shouldn't even really know what, I can't say they shouldn't know what a gun is, but they for dang sure shouldn't know how to use one. So I don't know. There's so much stuff to unpack. But where do you lie? Like, do you feel, let me know in the comment section, do you feel like this story is suitable for those arguments and talking about how, unsafe teachers are? Because usually when I hear those type of arguments, they're typically talking about older kids. But do you think like the government should get involved in terms of how, like, school shootings? Um, and I'm hoping the only solution is not going to be AI. Because obviously they'll say, well, if you go to robots and you go to AI, then, you can't shoot a robot, right? Because it's not a human. But unfortunately, these stories are becoming more and more the norm, just like school shootings. But I'm so surprised that you're talking about a 6-year-old. This is just unreal. Let's see what they have to say in the comment section. Yeah, someone says, how the freak, of course, I'm editing the words, how the freak does a 6-year-old get a hold of a gun? Yeah, the crazy thing is this. How did they get a hold of a gun? I'm assuming it was like in their backpack or something, but how did that get from the home to the school? And all of that, how did they know how to use it, safety, all of that stuff? This is just like, the story is just kind of unreal. They said here, I'm sorry, but the kid's parents also need criminal charges. Yeah, that's got to be. That's a good point. There's no universe where a 6-year-old should have access to a loaded gun. Yeah, I think I agree on this. The parents definitely should be charged. And then someone else is asking, how did the kid get the gun? Yeah. I think we all have the same story. And then they said, someone here said, the principal never came out of her office, just peeked out her door when they were wheeling Abby away. That's crazy. I don't know if that really happened, but that's crazy. I'm not surprised. They said here, parents need to be held accountable. Yeah, it's one thing not to know what the kids has for homework, but man, to have a whole gun, yeah, that's crazy. Someone says, what the freak is up with America? Yeah, you notice you never really hear stories like this out of other countries. It's always like, what is it about America that it's always America that you hear these stories from? They said, charge that kid as an adult and then charge his parents. I mean, a 6-year-old as an adult, I don't even know if they're aware of what happened at 6 years old. They can't even do fractions. They can't even do long division. I would say they can't write cursive, but who's writing cursive these days anyway? Someone says, I left teaching after 15 years as I think they said kindergarten teacher, and I was not surprised at all that this happened. Parents don't pay attention to their children, and admin at the school are just as guilty. Yeah, that's a crazy trend. Another person says, yeah, I don't care if he was a kid. He needs a serious punishment. I'm not saying years in jail, but something. And all the adults who knew, because if he didn't only hurt, because he didn't only hurt the teacher, what if it was other children? Many parents would have lost their child or had one in the hospital. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. Like, are they going to charge the parents? What do you guys think in the comment section? Should they charge the parents? Should there be a harsh penalty on this child? Let me know. Anyway, I am going to leave it here. I think that was just a crazy story. Craziest story I think I've heard all year coming from schools. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what do you think should happen? Should this kid be charged harshly? What do you think should be his punishment? What do you think should be the parents' punishment? Anyway, I'm Expat D. I'm going to end it here. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. And I'm going to end it here. Peace, and I'm out.